All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Texas. Stephen Gibson and Kyle Holden on the front row. David Garman and Mark Dantuma have the second row. William Hightower, Chad Jeffries on the third row. TJ Handley, Mark Nelson on the fourth. Richie Joplin and Austin Ruskoff round out the top 10. Jay Monin starts in 11th, next to Double D in 12th. Nicole Creasland 13th, Zach Henson in 14th. Austin Habel makes it in just in time to start 15th. And Gerald Poole rounds out the 16-car field. Cody, it sounded like you were not the only one that happened to, buddy. All the drivers gridded up, ready to go. And here they come. They begin to roll off pit road. All the drivers down and away, getting ready to stack up. Out on track. Competition caution, lap 40. (48 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. They will be able to make it to the comp caution, but they'll have to make a green flag stop after that. And here we go. Pace car is in. Here they come. Green flag is in the air. They are down and away. God bless Texas. Gibson and Holden side by side into turn one. Holden fights back up on the high side, coming out of turn two, down the back straightaway. Gibson has the advantage into turn three. David Garman back in third, Mark Dantuma in fourth. The lap times were so close during practice that we do expect these guys to be dogfighting most of this race. Austin Ruskoff now to ninth, Double D in 10th. Zach Henson already up 3 spots into 11th. He's got some Amazon Prime deliveries to get done. Richie Joplin back in 8th, has the fastest lap so far. As they are still battling too wide at the front. Looked like Army tried to stick his nose in there but couldn't quite get there. Mark Dantuma took advantage. He is now battling and will take third. That inside line through 1 and 2, way better than trying to go up to the high side. Chad Jeffries trying to make something happen as well. Jeffries now up into fourth. TJ Handley, Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson battling right behind. Kyle Holden has taken the lead, finally got by Gibson, who takes second, Dan Tuma in third. Chad Jeffries now to fourth, Garmin in fifth. TJ Handley, Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson round out that lead pack. William Hightower just a little bit behind, with Zach Henson, Austin Ruskoff, Jay Monin all right there. And Double D closing in. Austin Abel, Gerald Poole, Nicole Creasel back behind. Those three drivers did not get much track time. They've got a lot of work to do in the early going. Dan Tuma on the high side, trying to make the move past Garmin. But Garmin trying to fight back, he may take it. Not only that, Handley saw the door open, shot through it. TJ now into the top five and right to Garmin's bumper. He got Garmin. Garmin still saving it. And Garmin gets it gathered up. Wow. See if we can see this incident again. You see the big run out of TJ. David Garmin down on the bottom, keeps his foot in it, keeps it off the wall. That was quite a save. Garmin lost several spots, but he is still in the fight. Kyle Holden out front, Chad Jeffries now in second, and Jeffries now has the fastest lap of the night, 29.7. Stephen Gibson holds on to third. Richie Joplin in fourth. Now looks underneath. TJ Handley right behind, and Mark Dantuma. Mark Nelson just a hair back. Richie trying to peek under Gibson. He gets the nose in, out at two. TJ once again sees an open door and shoots through it. And just like that, here at Texas, you can lose a couple of spots in the blink of an eye. David Garmin has fallen back to 8th. For the moment, don't count him out. Holy cow. These guys are right on the edge, coming onto the front straightaway. Mark Nelson now has a run underneath Dantuma. It is hard to maintain speed and position up top here at Texas in turns 1 and 2. Mark Nelson comes out of turn 4, moves into 6th. And Dan Tuma continues to fade. Guess that's what happens when you drive a Ford, Mark. Zach Henson still on the move, now up into 8th place. David Garman has drifted back into 9th. Kyle Holden, CJ Jeffries right there nose to tail. 3rd place, Richie Jomplin. 1.5 seconds back, but Richie is gaining. TJ Handley not far back in 4th. Stephen Gibson still holds on to 5th, but Mark Nelson is closing in. Mark Dantuma in 7th. Now having to deal with Zach Henson. Henson's charge continues. Henson gets under Dantuma into 3 and 4 and takes 7th place, up 7 spots. He just got 6 more to go. Chad Jeffries has taken the lead from Holden. Chad Jeffries, Kyle Holden, that little exchange for the lead has brought Richie Jomplin a little bit closer, now 1.3 seconds back. TJ 4th, but Stephen Gibson looks low into 3. Can Mark Nelson get there in time to take advantage? He can't this time. Gibson back up to 4th as the battle for the lead is back on. Holden up top, Jeffries on the bottom, out of turn 2. Drag race down the backstretch, Holden will take it. Mark Nelson now side by side with TJ. Mark looks like he is going to clear out of turn 2 up to 5th. They all better be running from the Amazon Prime car. Henson now up into 7th and closing in on TJ. Kyle reclaiming the lead, putting a couple car links between it first and 2nd. Harley, if Kyle wins tonight, we actually have a plan. How you doing tonight, Harley? Why aren't you out here, buddy? Kyle Holden already pulling a gap on Jeffrey, 0.6 of a second. Richie Jomplin in 3rd is closing in on Jeffries. He's bringing Stephen Gibson and Mark Nelson with him. Good call, Harley. Date night, much more important than racing. Stephen Gibson now trying to take the position for Richie Joplin. Mark Nelson looks underneath. He's going to try. Oh, Richie starts blinking. Not good when they are side by side. Mark goes nose first into turn one and reclaims fourth place. Stephen Gibson now back up into third, is closing the gap on Chad Jeffries. And Kyle Holden has already checked out to a 1.5 second lead. Chad holding on to second for the moment, but again, Gibson is closing in. Mark Nelson right there with him. Richie Joplin fading a little bit. Zach Henson now up into sixth, and just behind the top five, Henson is on the march tonight. Henson just 1.5 seconds back from fifth place, Richie Joplin, and Henson is gaining. We could do that, Harley. That's not a bad idea. Holden's lead now over 2 seconds. It's not as if he was taking it easy on the car in the early going. And they have already lost about a second a lap to tire wear, but it just hasn't slowed Holden down as much as the others. Holden's fastest lap of 29.75. Last time by 30.72. Almost exactly a second a lap slower at the moment. Mark Nelson now in third, Richie in fourth. Jeffries has suddenly dropped like a log. Let's take a look at Chad here. Gets to the high side as they come through 3 and 4, loses one position, but Mark has a big run. Chad just goes into turn one too high, slides it out, and wow, even gets a little loose coming off of that one. Just send it to me, Harley. I'll make sure he knows about it. Stephen Gibson in second, Mark Nelson in third. They have been both making up ground late in the run. And they are still 3 seconds behind Holden. Zach Henson in sixth, now just over a second behind Chad Jeffries as they close in. I'll see what I can do. Zach Henson's epic charge continues. He is reeling in the top 5. In fact, last time by, the only car on track faster than Zach Henson was our leader, Kyle Holden. And Kyle's got all the clean air in the world right now. No, Henson messed up the entry into turn 1. You go too high in turn 1, you will lose a whole lot of time. And a lot of momentum. It definitely is not the place you want to be up high in 1 and 2. Zach gets it right this time, though. And begins to close the gap on Jeffries once again. Just a few laps from the comp caution. Every driver will be in for 4 tires and fuel. They will still have to make one more stop here tonight. But with the longer run, the second part of this race, we've seen guys like Mark Nelson and Zach Henson charging forward since about halfway through the run. Could we see those two guys up battling for the win later tonight? Kyle Holden leads down the back straightaway. And we should get the comp caution when he crosses the start-finish line or moments after. And Holden leads at the comp caution. And there is the competition caution. Only one car not on the lead lap. Nicole, that's what she said, Creasel. She'll be waved around and put back, given the lucky dog, get back on the lead lap, and she will be back in the fight. As everybody is stacked up, getting ready to come in. And here they come out of turn 4. Everybody is coming in. 4 fresh Goodyears, a full tank of gas. And any repairs necessary. Likely a few of these drivers have a little right rear damage, maybe right front from scraping the wall. Everybody is in. Right side's going up all the way down pit road. Now left side's going up, and who's going to win the race? Oh, I think think Kyle Holden got him at the line. It was close between Gibson and Nelson and Kyle Holden. Should get one to green this time. The field will stack back up. Nicole on pit road for her pit stop. And she will beat the pace car. Austin Ruskoff, no surprise, he is topping off on fuel. I really expect one of these days for Austin's team to just put a guy maybe somewhere on the back straightaway where he can just pull over, get a drop of fuel, and pull out. I don't know. Maybe his team will just line gas guys up down pit road, and each one of them puts a few drops in as he goes by. Austin is back off pit road. Nicole should be catching up to the field. And all 16 cars back on track, back in the lead pack. And since it is Texas, you know we do crank it up bigger and better than anybody else, and we're going to prove it to you. When the green flag drops, I'm going to stop talking. You guys crank it up. Listen to all that horsepower. There you go. Pace car dives in. Kyle Holden leads them down into the zone. Green flag back in the air. Crank it up, everybody. It doesn't get much more fun than that, cranking it up at Texas. Kyle Holden still out front, followed by Steven Gibson and Mark Nelson. Richie Joplin back up into fourth, Gourmets in fifth, and look who's right behind, still attacking, Zach Hinson in sixth. Chad Jeffries in seventh, Mark the Man Dantuma in eighth. William Hightower currently in ninth, and a battle for 10th. TJ Handley and Austin Abel traded the spot a couple of times. Here goes Austin once again. Did not quite have the momentum, and Thanos starting to attack. Gerald barely made the race in time. Looks like he used that first 40 to practice, and now he is moving. As Richie Joplin just set the fastest lap. 29.64, fastest lap we have seen tonight. He is right on Mark Nelson's bumper. How many times over the last year and a half have we seen these two doing battle repeatedly? David Gorman tries to take advantage. He goes to the high side. Could not get the run, and Henson slips by to take fifth. Henson now up 9 spots so far. 9 spots, 50 laps, and he's got 70 more. I suspect we're going to see Henson even further forward. Kyle Holden out front, still has Gibson right there with them. Ritchie tried to make the attack coming out of 1 and 2, couldn't quite get there. Chad Jeffries making the move on the high side. He had lost a lot of ground late in the first run, but he is already starting to make some up. Folks, don't forget to hit that like button and share it as well. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, tonight is a doubleheader. So SMRX Series is up at Atlanta after this, and that's going to get a bit wild, I suspect. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We've got a lot of great YouTube shorts coming out you don't want to miss. Bit of a battle back behind. Gorman versus Henson. Gorman trying to reclaim the ground he lost a few moments ago. He may get it here. Gorman just couldn't get enough of a run to take it. He'll lay back and wait a few laps. Meanwhile, Zach Henson in fifth, reels Ritchie in fourth, back in. Kyle Holden and Stephen Gibson start to put a little bit of space between them and third place. Mark Nelson, they've got about a half-second gap on Nelson, Joplin, and Henson at the moment. Mark Dantuma starting to work his way back into the picture in seventh. And look who's on the move again. Chad Jeffries up to eighth. Saw Gerald Poole come out of that comp caution, and he was on fire. He is already up to 12th and gaining ground on Austin Habel in 11th. Austin Ruskoff currently back in 13th. Double D in 14th, Jay Monin in 15th, and Nicole Creasel in 16th. Richie Joplin starting to peak once again on Mark. Henson inching closer and closer and closer. Gerald Thanos Poole is on pit road. He is not even within the fuel window. I don't see any damage. It doesn't appear that he's had a problem. He is in. Right side's up. Nicole also in. This is a bit early for the fuel stop. Whoa, Dan Tuma has a problem coming out of turn 2. He's still wrecking, still saved it. Nope. Wow. And it does appear we have our first caution of the night. Let's take a look at the incident that brought it out with Dan Tuma. There's Mark on the bottom, coming out of turn 2. Oh, he just got loose. Chad Jeffries right behind. Oh, and a close call. He hit another one. And bumps the tire wall a few times, gets it going, but man, a big setback for Dan Tuma. They are not within the fuel window here. Austin Ruskoff, I think Austin took fuel only and shot away. See if we can get a quick word with him. Hey Austin, it's Doug. You got me?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, I gotta ask, man. Fuel only, you're already back out. It gave you a ton of track position, but are you not worried about the fresh tires lurking behind you?
No, I'm going back in. I can't do that to these guys. I was expecting a couple guys just to take fuel, but if they all took tires, I'm just gonna get out of their way here and just try and survive to the end.
Well, man, I was wondering, that would have been an interesting strategy because the tires would still be fairly fresh, but, man, I don't know. Great call coming back in, and good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Austin Ruskoff back on pit road. Stephen Gibson now has the lead, followed by Mark Nelson, Kyle Holden, Richie Joplin, and Chad Jeffries. David Garman, Austin Abel, Jay Monin, and Mark Dan Tuma rounding out the top 10 Of note, Jay Monin took right sides only. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. Cody, I kind of agree with you on that, buddy. If nothing else, it would have been fun to watch if Austin had gone ahead and sent it. Here we go. Pace car dives to pit road. Gibson in control. Green flag is back in the air, and Gibson gets a good launch. Kyle Holden quickly fights his way up into second. Nicole Creasel's car is done. A heartbreaking night. That's what she said. Mark Nelson currently in third, Richie in fourth, Zach Henson now up into fifth, and we'll be keeping a close eye on Henson. Jay Monin took right sides only on that stop, hoping his lefts would be fresh enough, but it does look like he has got some damage. The battle is on for third. Richie Joplin trying to get under Mark Nelson into turn one. Chad Jeffries, Zach Henson right behind. Richie Joplin now to third. Still trying to run down Kyle Holden up to second. Kyle right on Stephen Gibson's bumper. And Richie Joplin just set the fastest lap so far, 29.63. Seems the track is cooling down. They are getting faster. David Garman tried to make the move on Henson, a close call. Austin Habel now has the fastest lap. 29.60 for Habel. Had a great lap last time by. And Kyle Holden has reclaimed the lead from Stephen Gibson. Richie in third, closing in on Gibson at the moment, but it looks like Holden starts to pull away. As Garmin finally gets the run underneath Henson, it is close down the front stretch. Garmin now to sixth. Mark Nelson still lurks in fourth. Remember, he was one of the fastest ones on the early long run here. So as the tires wear, Likely to see him coming forward once again. Speaking of coming forward, Richie Joplin is right on the back bumper of Stephen Gibson. Hey, good evening, David. How are you? Richie tries to make the move across the start-finish line. He's got the nose in as they go off into 1 and 2. Gibson will have the advantage on the exit of 2, gets a better run out, and holds Richie for the moment. Garmin catching back up, but makes the pass on the high side on Jeffries. Now looks to the high side on Nelson. And goes too high into 1 and 2. Garmin just lost all the ground he had made. Garmin manages to get back to the high side again on Jeffries. Can he get it done? As Richie Joplin battles for second, he may have it this time. Gibson sends it deep into 3 and 4. Richie sticks it on the bottom. Inches apart as they come through the quad oval. Richie slides back into third. Gibson holds him off for the moment. Garmin looks to the high side in 3 and 4. He's got the run up top on Mark Nelson at the moment. Out of turn 2, Mark definitely has more, or rather Garmy really has more speed. Coming out of turn 2, they head into 3. Garmin has been making that high side work all night. You know them dirt racers love to be on top. Stephen Gibson still trying to hold on to second. Kyle Holden is pulled out to almost a 1 second lead. David Garmin now in 4th, closing the gap. Kyle Holden out front by 9/10 of a second over Gibson at the moment. David Garmin now up to 4th. Mark Nelson in 5th. Chad Jeffries in 6th. Zach Henson still holds on to 7th. Austin Abel in 8th. Mark Dantuma back in 9th. And TJ Handley in 10th. Gibson closing the gap just a little bit on Kyle Holden. As Holden just put Austin Ruskoff a lap down. If this stays green, it's likely that the leaders are going to lap a few more cars. William Hightower back in 11th. Donald Double D Durant in 12th. Jay Monin in 13th. If they're not careful, they will end up a lap down. Kyle Holden's lead over Gibson, now 1 second. Richie Joplin in third is backed off. Mark Nelson closing in. Garmin, Jeffries, and Henson all right there. Jeffries starting to look under Garmin. Oh, Garmin may have kissed the wall out of 4. Jeffries has a run. And it looks like Jeffries will easily take 5th from Garmin coming out of 2. Mark Nelson in 4th is closing in. We've got a car on the wall back behind. I think it was Ruskoff. Kyle Holden's lead after all that battling back behind now 1.9 seconds. He continues to pull away from the rest of the field. Oh, wow! Mark Nelson got one heck of a run down into 1 and 2. Almost ran over Richie Joplin. Richie drops back to 4th, and this might be the start of Mark moving forward. And we know all these drivers have to come in for tires and fuel one last time, as we've got a battle on for 2nd place. Mark Nelson pushes his nose ahead into 1 and 2 and takes 2nd place. He is 2.5 seconds behind Holden. Now the question is, can he run him down? Zach Henson whoa! Garmin is way slow. What happened with Garmin a moment ago? There's Garmin coming down the front straightaway. Looks like he had a big bobble coming out of turn 4. He has taken it to pit road. And David Garmin officially out of the race. Mark Nelson back in 2.3 seconds back. Stephen Gibson in third, Chad Jeffries in fourth, Richie Joplin in fifth. Zach Henson now back up into sixth. Can't count him out of this one just yet. And you have to be wondering what strategy these drivers are going to use when they are going to make that final stop. Mark Nelson getting slowed down in lap traffic. Holy cow, Chad Jeffries way loose out at two. Richie manages to get away up top and take the spot. You did hear a lot of drivers talking about it during pre-race, and we have seen it a bit here tonight. Aero loose is really, really bad here tonight. So if you get tucked up under the car head just right, they are going away. Zach Henson has the run over Jeffries into turn three. Zach back into the top five. Here comes Drifty Richie and Kyle Holden. That answered that question. Mark Nelson cannot afford to, if he wants to catch Holden, he can't afford to stay out very many more laps. And here he comes, Mark Nelson to pit road. Gibson stays out, takes the lead. Zach Henson is in, Austin Habel is in. Dan Tuma is going to stay out. TJ Handley as well. William Hightower stays out. Double D. Kyle Holden back out on track. Stephen Gibson comes down the back straightaway. Kyle Holden currently in 7th place. Austin Ruskoff has not been in 8th. Mark Nelson currently scored in 9th. Mark about 3.1 seconds behind Kyle. 22 laps to go. He is really going to have to hoof it to get there. Stephen Gibson trying to stretch this as far as possible, but with most of the field on fresh tires, he's got to be thinking about coming in soon. But not this time. Gibson stays out. Jeffrey stays out. And it looks like TJ will stay out as well. Mark Dantuma extending his run along with Double D. William Hightower also stays out. Mark Nelson has moved up into 8th, now 3.8 seconds behind 7th place Kyle Holden. as Holden starts going through past the lap cars. Holden just put himself back on the lead lap. Gibson needs to come in now to have any hope of making up the ground he's losing. But he doesn't, he stays out. Don't forget, folks, 18 more laps here, then we go to Atlanta for the SMR Series. The X Series goes to Atlanta, and you know it's going to be a wild one. Stephen Gibson continuing to stretch this. It's not like he's trying to conserve fuel to make it to the end. He is still pushing that car to the limit. Mark Nelson now 3.9 seconds behind Holden. He is losing ground. They're coming to 15 to go, and I'm really curious as to when Gibson is coming in. Or is he coming in? Is he going to try and stretch this? If he does, he has to worry about Holden 25 seconds back. And last time by, Kyle was 2+ seconds faster that lap. Zach Henson just unlapped himself in 9th. Richie Joplin in 10th. Austin Abel in 11th. Austin staying right under Richie's bumper, trying to get him aero loose here. Gibson continues to stay out. Kyle Holden has now made his way to 4th place. He is 20 seconds out of the lead. Mark Nelson has made his way back to 7th, about to be 6th, as he goes by Dan Tuma. He is now 4.7 seconds behind Kyle. And Stephen Gibson continues to stay out and lead. Chad Jeffries has given up 2nd. He is on pit road. Will that bring Gibson in this time? No, it doesn't. Now, they last pitted. Gibson was last on pit road, lap 62. We were looking at 50 to 55 laps on the tank, so he's got to be a few laps short. Unless he was conserving in a big, big way earlier on. Gibson continues to stay out. TJ in 2nd, but not for much longer. Holden is to him. Mark Nelson now up into 4th, about 5 seconds behind TJ. Also closing at about 1.5 seconds a lap. Stephen Gibson's lead now 10.5 seconds over Kyle Holden. Mark Dantuma is in. Gibson still not coming in. If he can make it on fuel, then every lap car between him and Holden is now his best friend. But he is losing ground quickly. Kyle just closing too fast on those fresher tires. 2 seconds a lap faster. 8 laps to go. Gibson appears to be going for it. His lead down to 7 seconds as Ruskov gets his lap back and Double D is on pit road. Kyle Holden in second, 5 seconds back from the leader. Chad Jeffries gets back by underneath. These guys that just pitted, making Holden have to use a little bit more tire, is Gibson's best hope. Six laps to go and a 3.5 second gap. Mark Nelson now almost 5.25 seconds back in third. TJ currently in fourth. Zach Henson now up into fifth, closing in on TJ. TJ thinking he can make it as well. And Gibson is in. Gibson could not go the distance. He is on pit road. Holden back in the lead. Mark Nelson back into second. TJ now in third. And Zach Henson up to fourth. Based on Gibson coming to pit road, I don't think TJ can make it to the finish on fuel. But he looks like he's going to try it. Kyle Holden's lead, 4.5 seconds, 4 laps to go. Mark coming alive, but may not have enough time. TJ Handley in third is not coming to pit road. With 3 to go, can he hold on to it? Zach Henson in fourth. Zach started in 14th. He has been marching forward all night long. Same for Austin Abel, who's now up into fifth. Austin started back in 15th. He has been on the march as well. Kyle Holden down the back straightaways, losing ground. Mark is closing, but not enough. And here we go. White flag is in the air one more time around for Kyle Holden. Started on the front row, stayed in the top 5 all night. Surprisingly, the first one to pit road tonight. And through 3 and 4, his 4.25 second lead takes him back to victory lane at Texas. Mark Nelson comes home in second. Zach Henson manages to take third as TJ ran out of fuel on the last lap. Wow. Really was rooting for TJ to pull that off. Let's talk to our top three. Starting with Zach Henson. Zach, when you look up hard charger in the dictionary, your picture is going to be there. Hey, Zach, you got me?
I got you, Doug.
Man, that was one heck of a charge from the back tonight.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun tonight.
It was awesome, and man, there's a couple of times where you got stuck in heavy traffic, and suddenly you'd move to the high side and just take off again.
Yeah, once you get stuck behind somebody, that dirty air, it's hard to get by.
Well,
and it takes a few laps for that high side to get really moving.
It definitely seemed to, but man, once you got it working, you were just going up there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun.
Well,
Glad to get a podium.
Well, it's great to see you back on the podium, man. Great run.
All right, thank you.
Mark Nelson comes home in second. Mark, it was obvious you had the late run speed. You just needed things to fall differently.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Doug?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Okay. So I just needed to have probably a full fuel run both times there, but the caution came out a little odd there and threw that off a little bit because I could tell that I was catching him, but I knew it was probably a fruitless effort, but good effort nonetheless.
Richie Joplin, by the way, just dropped in the comments, said he was too slow tonight. He finished fifth, but we're going to ignore Richie because we always do.
We are going to ignore Richie.
I have to say, that last 5 laps, man, you really poured it on, and we're closing that gap quickly, but just not enough time left.
Yeah, like I said, just needed to have the full fuel run, the good 35, 40 laps. That was only about 25, so maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but I'm still pretty proud of the effort. This track's tough.
It definitely is, man. Great job. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Doug.
And finally, our winner, Kyle Holden. Kyle back in victory lane. No surprise there.
Yeah, this was probably one of my best tracks, so we just had to come out and try to see how far away we can get. But it was a good race by everybody. Huge thanks to TJ Hanley Designs for sponsoring a bunch of people this race, so that was pretty cool. I'm trying to keep this league alive, so appreciate everything you do, Doug.
Well, man, great job, buddy. Great win. Congratulations. And I forgot to check your points, but I know you missed a few. I don't think it's going to matter too much. You're going to start charging up. You were 9th after last week. I imagine you're back in the top 5.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here, but we'll just try to finish out the rest of the season and see where we land.
Great job, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to switch over here in just a moment, and we'll bring you guys the SMR X Series from Atlanta. Folks, 36 cars in Atlanta. It's going to get spicy. Don't go anywhere, everybody.